Hi, Master at None here, and today we're solving a little problem here that came about. I had a small fire here in the shop, and it didn't really cause any damage. I mean, this is the shop, and it's still here intact. You can still see my messy workbench behind me and everything like that. But it did get hot enough. I meant to have these right in my hand. It did get hot enough that it rusted all the metal in the shop. It just flashed hot enough for just a short period of time where, I mean, here's my plastic garbage can right here and whatnot. That's just fine. But everything that's metal is rusted. And I'll show you this stuff just in a bit when we get onto the bench. But this stuff I'm not too concerned with because you can, if you go and find tool restoration videos, everyone just says to get some Evaporust, and it works great. It's reusable, it's supposedly non-toxic, and you can just soak the stuff in there and, you know, leave it for a day or so, and the rust just kind of falls off, and you clean it up with a little bit of elbow grease, but not too much, and it's fine and dandy. But there is a lot of stuff in the shop that you can't just soak in Evaporust, so we're going to try to take care of that. And I was searching and searching and searching for this kind of stuff, and I couldn't find anything. I found people cleaning up hand tools and stuff, but whenever you look at like fire cleanup and restoration, even when I search specifically for like shop, garage, and stuff like that, all I came across was people doing fire cleanup in like kitchens and stuff like that. So I wasn't finding what I was needed until I came across the channel where someone was gifted, I believe it was a joiner, and the surface that you'd slide the boards across was rusty, and they wanted to take that rust off. So that's where I got this technique that we're going to try today. And if I find that video, I always like to attribute sources when I can. So if I can find that video again, I will drop that link into the description. But for right now, let's get to the bench. So here's our little tabletop drill press that received the damage in the fire, and we'll do a close-up of, you know, these hand tools just got a light rust all over them that, like I said, some Evaporust to take care of. This is the reason that I actually want to do something that's going to not just take care of get rid of the rust, but kind of prevent it from coming back, because this was kind of a shop knife that I made that just kind of hung off over by the bench, and I'd use around the garage, and this was totally rusty, and I took it to the bench grinder and completely cleaned it back up, and then the next day it was rusty again, because rust is kind of like cancer. So we're going to try to take care of this rust and the rust on here and stuff, and see if we can't get this cleaned up. So let's see what we can do. So what I've got here is some triple-aught steel wool and some WD-40, and we're just going to kind of hose down the surface and then go after it with this steel wool and see if we can knock some of this rust down and get this back to where it's in usable condition. Something a little more aggressive. Now the stuff here was just a little too fine for the amount of corrosion that we have, so I went over to the shelf and got some coarser steel wool, and that is definitely doing the trick. That is making much faster work of this. I can still feel that there's some corrosion right now, because this surface is usually pretty fine and smooth I mean, you can see over here where the little vise was sitting on top of this, that, you know, that is rust free, and that's smooth to the touch, slippery almost with the WD on it. Let's go with a little more elbow grease. It's a lot better, but it's not where we want it. We're going to have to get ourselves some sandpaper or something. So while searching for some sandpaper to continue cleaning this, I wasn't finding what I was looking for, but what I did come across was one of my 1x30 belts that I use for sharpening knives, and in a flash of genius or stupidity, I flipped it inside out and seen if I could get the rust off the pole here, and in just a very short period of time I've knocked down a good portion of the rust on this. And unfortunately I clicked record, or I thought I clicked record, but non-successfully. But I just, for just like 30 seconds or so, went up and down like this and made some, what I think is some relatively good progress with a not very coarse belt here. So I think that's going to be what I'm going to continue to do. And that's looking really good. That's actually really smooth now. Yeah. I understand that you probably don't have a belt like this, but any kind of sandpaper for sanding down metal would also work. But we're making some good progress. I'm going to continue to work on this, and I'll come back with a final video of the whole thing and try to log how much time I got into cleaning this up. You know, the whole thing, the fire has been just a big mess basically to clean up. There wasn't much that was lost or damaged, but to be able to not lose your tools and stuff like that, that's a good sign. That saves you a lot of money. And this is WD-40, and in this case some sandpaper or some steel wool. I mean, I could even hit this more with the steel wool, and that is pretty much finished. That's going to work. This is a casted piece here, and it just seems like it left it a lot more coarse. You can see here, my fingernail just slides, but here you can hear the corrosion. I'm going to have to work on that more, but this is pretty much done. And of course, over here, I'll be able to get something and turn this on and clean that up really quick. So I will get back to you once I get some more work done on this, and we'll see how it turns out. Well, as you can see, that belt worked really, really well. I loosened the collar up right here that holds on the teeth, that allows this to crank up and down, so I could spin that around. So I was able to rotate it around to this side and clean the other side of the post here. And in just about, I've only been working on this for, I don't even think 10 minutes. And it is smooth again where it's going to be workable. It's not, obviously doesn't look like it was before, but it's smooth to the touch and looks pretty good. All I did was I went around it with the belt, just like I was doing before. And you can see how dirty the belt is now. And then I sprayed it down and just hit it again with some steel wool, and then cleaned it off with the paper towel here. And I'd say this thing is pretty much back in service. I can try to get this, you know, a little cleaner and smoother, although it's gotten some spatter on it now, but it's much better than it was before. It would be usable at this point, but I'll probably try to get some more of this off. And my hands are really dirty, but otherwise this fix didn't cost much. Stuff that you already have around, steel wool, WD-40, or in this case I had some silica carbide sandpaper, which was a big help. Now I have to say, after this is dried off, coming back to look at it, where I was really scuffing this hard along the edge with the steel wool, it is really removed a lot of that corrosion. So this is really close in some of these spots that I was scuffing it, you know, pretty vigorously. This is really close to removing all of this stuff. So just a little bit more work in here would go a long way. Well, I guess I'm going to call that a success on the cleanup on the drill press. There's still some work to do, a little more elbow grease, but in a really short period of time. I mean, even while filming this video, trying to film the video and do this, it's been about 40 minutes. So not a lot of time spent on cleaning up that rust and really gotten that thing back into pretty usable shape at this point. There's more work to do, of course, but there always is. And hopefully this will help someone out in the future. And guys, if you have suggestions on things like this, ways to help people clean up if they've had a similar situation, or even I've got a lot of stuff left to clean up around here, so drop that stuff in the comments and we'll catch you next time.